Ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. I'm Noah Selby.
I'm Wes Selby.
And we are back for another fantastic episode of Fourth and Troll Fantasy. Wes, how are you doing? How are things? It's been a week. We only ever talk on the pod, like I've said before. So what have you done?
Right. There's never any communication outside of Fourth and Troll Fantasy. Thank God this exists. Otherwise, I'd have no idea what you do with your life.
Talk, yeah.
Right. Well, let me update you. Week's been good. It's starting to feel like summer in Los Angeles, which is very strange because normally you think of sunny California, but this year it's been wild. A lot of rain start the year, so the sun is out, not too hot, but definitely hot enough that we had a pool day over the weekend. Girlfriend and I traveled a little further down south to the Laguna area, had a nice pool day with some good friends of ours, played some board games, had a little bit of rum. It's a good time, man. Had a really nice summer day.
What a blast.
I know, it's really great. Very needed. How are you?
You could have told me it was good. Yeah, you could have told me Laguna. What you could have said, just drove like 6 hours east or went to Laguna, and I'd be like, yeah, California is that. Like it's just California.
Right.
I don't know
anywhere
where stuff is, but yeah, just anywhere is. We just went over ascended 6 miles.
It's like Laguna, I should say it's like halfway between Los Angeles and San Diego. That's the general map, if that makes any more difference for you. Anyway,
fun.
All right, your turn. How's your week? How's everything?
Yeah. It was a good week. It was a little hectic, as we said last week. I was in Georgia 2 weeks ago. Got back from Georgia, and pretty much my wife and I immediately had to do some essentially just quick turnaround packing because we found out that we were approved to move into a new 2-bedroom apartment in our complex, get a little more space, which is why I am in a different location now. A little bit of a different spot here. No longer at the famous table there in the dining room. We have now
famous table
moved to a new location here. So big weekend, a little sleepy, a little tired, but we made it through, and now we're through, and we're good to go, and we're back with Fourth and Troll Fantasy. So it's
wonderful,
fun times all around, and it'll be a lot of fun to have this episode today. We got a packed show. We're gonna go through like a bunch of different players. I think about a dozen different players here because we are going over our 2023 Fantasy Football My Guys. And not only are we going over our 2023 Fantasy Football My Guys, we are also talking about players that we are reaching on. These are guys that are special. Not special enough to be my guy, but they're close. They are worth reaching on. And then we are also going to talk about some guys that we are avoiding in drafts. We are just saying, nope, no thank you, not about it. We've talked about these people a little bit before on social media, on previous podcasts. We're going to hit you with an info overload here and just drill it into you guys. So it'll be a lot of fun. We're excited for it. First things first, though, you can get all our social media on the screens here. Grab some stats, stuff like that. They're up on the screen, including now our TikTok handle, which is cool. Wes, we didn't even mention that. Dude, I totally forgot to mention that. As I talked about the moving weekend. Guys, if you guys contribute to this, awesome. Thank you so much. If you haven't, I hope let's get you on our TikTok because we had a couple TikToks go back-to-back over 10,000 views this weekend, which was really cool. Something we've never done before, which is a fun time. It's cool to see no longer like 4 numbers there. It's just now 4 characters. It's like the 10.7K at the end of it. It's pretty cool to see that. And also, just an admission of truth, we have no idea how TikTok works because those TikToks are about Baker Mayfield and Samaje Perine, random players, and then we posted some TikToks about Tua Tagovailoa and Travis Kelce, and those did nowhere near the same amount of views. So if anyone knows how TikTok works, drop it in the comments because we're still figuring it out.
Tell us what's the key.
We'd love to have lots of videos go for 10K plus, but we have no idea what to do. So whenever we get a payroll, we might hire some social media analysts or something like that. Who knows? We'll see. May keep supporting the show so we get a payroll so we know what to do on TikTok. Yes. Is the moral of the story here. But anyways, that TikTok handle is on the screen now. It's at Fourth and Troll. While you're at it, obviously, always like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Now, Wes, to you with the news of the NFL. What do we need to know right now? What's going on?
Oh, it's time to dive into all the crazy stuff that happened over the week, baby. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Back to you with sports.
Guys, we want to bring you the news as much as we can. Don't think that we're slacking off here. Nothing's going on yet. Like, there's nothing to talk about yet. We promise you, when there is, you will know. Because Fourth and Troll will bring it to you.
Defensive stuff have happened here and there. It's not as much of an impact. It's like, when we heard Jalen Ramsey went to the Dolphins. Oh, that's interesting. That might make a huge difference. But we've talked about that in the past. Nothing. Nada. It's the offseason. You will know when Dalvin Cook lands on a team. You'll know when DeAndre Hopkins finds his home. You'll know if Zeke gets some team to buy into him. You'll know all this stuff.
Yeah.
Just hang around. This show is more than the news, because now it's time for my guys and reachers and some of our players we're going to avoid. Let's jump into this, Noah.
Let's freaking do it, dude. This is going to be a lot of fun. My guys last year. Let's do it, Wes. Just an impromptu. I remember my guys. It was Mike Evans and Rashad Bateman, I believe, were my guys.
Yes.
And those weren't good because those guys, Rashad Bateman got hurt and Tom Brady decided to decline immensely. So,
yeah.
Except for, week 18, Mike Evans. There you go.
Wow.
Wow, good job.
Yeah. Wow. I only remember
Nice.
for me
It's
was
back, baby.
It's back. It's back. I had Julio Jones actually, because he was like a 12th round pick last year, and it was like easy risk, no risk, potentially high reward. None of it panned out. It was fine. I actually forget who the other player I had as one of my guy, unless you remember. But we got some other players this year that I'm excited about, though.
I'm not sure I remember. It might be in our notes somewhere. So maybe at some point in the show we'll figure it out or something like that. But who knows? That was season 1. We're on to season 2. We're on to season 2.
It's a new season, new year, new me,
new year, new you, new us, new Tutty. Actually, same Tutty.
Same Tutty. New apartment.
New apartment. There it is. Nice.
New apartment, dude.
Rounded it out. It was like a perfect note and perfect melody. Listen, we're gonna jump into my guys here. We each have 2 my guys. As much as we want to have more than 2, we had to nail it down, guys. And we have 2 my guys each. Wes, get us rolling here with who is your first my guy, and let us know why.
Yeah, my first my guy, I feel like I'm stealing him from you because you began to make the point maybe a couple episodes ago, and it just sucked. It's stuck. I tried to say
he sucked.
Sunk.
This guy sucks. Here's why he's my guy.
I couldn't decide if I want to say sunk in or stuck with me, so it's just like, very suck, my guy. Anyway, but it stuck with me. Stop. We're talking.
Sorry.
Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown is one of my guys for this season, because when you made the point that he was a top 5 wide receiver without DeAndre Hopkins those first 5 weeks, I wanted to just look at those stats, and I'm buying in big time. He was wide receiver 6 after the first 6 weeks, averaging 18.2 points per game during that stretch. And he was right there with Cooper Kupp when he was healthy, and Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs. He was there with the guys that we know are round 1. Of course, Justin Jefferson, the round 1 talent from last year, that's now the round 1 talent of this year. He was in that mix without DeAndre Hopkins. I'm so excited for that. And I wanted to look to see what else was going on in Arizona. The next closest wide receiver averaged 7.9 points per game. It was uncontested. Zach Ertz did well in those first few games as well, but no other wide receiver even had half the points that he was putting out there. And I know some may put like a contingency on whether Kyler Murray returns. If he does, what timetable that's going to be. But look, Marquise Brown proved me wrong last year. I did not think he was going to be a top wideout going from Baltimore to Arizona. He proved me wrong. He has proven to be a wide receiver one without DeAndre Hopkins last year, and that will continue to happen this year. And he's going in the late 7th round, the early 8th round, if people are reaching around him. This guy that was putting up 18 points a game without DeAndre Hopkins is falling there. Mine in every league I can get. That's why Marquise Brown is my guy this season.
Yeah. I commonly hear and we've had a little comment about this. I commonly hear the argument against Marquise Brown is, well, Kyler's not going to play. Who's his quarterback going to be? Okay, if Kyler Murray's not playing for that football team, do you think they're winning more and throwing the ball less? Like, no. They're the game script for this team is going to be. I don't anticipate the Arizona Cardinals to be ahead in very many games. I think they will be throwing the football a lot of the time throughout this season. I think the Cardinals are going to be throwing the ball. Okay, 3rd round rookie wide receiver Michael Wilson, who didn't play ever a full season in college, or Greg Dortch. Is he going to eat into those wide receiver targets? Okay, like, Zach Ertz coming back from an injury, maybe. Trey McBride is an interesting prospect for, like, late round if you're waiting on tight end. But, like, Marquise is going to be the guy to throw to. And, like, yeah, he's going to be good whether Kyler is there or not. And especially when Kyler is there because, Wes, as we always talk about, best friend syndrome, baby. Best friend syndrome. Those guys gel together. I love it. I love Marquise Brown. I'm a little bummed I'm not going to get him in our drafts now because you're my guy, and maybe I'll reach. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to reach on him because no, but he is a fantastic first my guy of the show. I love Marquise Brown a whole lot, so I'm excited that he's your my guy, and congratulations because you are going to win your fantasy league.
Thank you. And I do think that he is worth taking in every single league. And I do think that there is a genuine opportunity for him to be more, because by the time you get him in a draft, he's going to be on your bench. What a treasure that is. Anybody gets hurt on your team, great. Maybe use trade bait, whatever it is. It's going to be phenomenal. I pass the torch to you, Noah. It's your turn to share your first my guy of this episode. Who is it?
Well, here we are again. Another day. Another episode, and another opportunity for me to talk about Tennessee Titans tight end Chigoziem Okonkwo. And nobody is surprised. Nobody's surprised. He's probably the easiest my guy I've ever decided on. He's probably something a broken record at this point, but I cannot get enough of Chig Okonkwo. He's entering into his 2nd season in the league after a rookie year of showing flashes, but there's a lot of things about Chig Okonkwo that are going under the radar that I want to talk about. Just for a second, I want to talk about him. Listen, when you talk about the history of Tennessee Titans tight ends who have shown flashes, we had Jonnu Smith, who was a very interesting option in fantasy when he was playing in Tennessee. They were manufacturing touches for him. I think he had an end-around touchdown in that season, I'm pretty sure. Like, handed the ball off to him on the sweep. Like, it was like, what are we doing here? But they're getting their playmakers involved. And then, obviously, if you've been playing fantasy for a while, we can talk about Delaney Walker, who was a top 8 fantasy tight end 3 straight years, was the tight end 8 in 2014, the tight end 2 in 2015, and the tight end 5 in 2016. These tight ends in Tennessee somehow are just being the guys here, but I want to go deeper. I want to go on a deeper level here. Chig Okonkwo last season had 4 finishes as the tight end 9 or better. Yet he only played 1 game last season in which he was on the field for more than 58% of the snaps. And that was week 15. He played 60% of the snaps. That's right. Those 4 top 9 finishes last year. He was a tight end 9 in a game where he only played 24% of the snaps. He had 15 fantasy points. He was a tight end 8 in a game where he played 58% of the snaps. He had 14 fantasy points. He was a tight end 7 in a game where he played 43% of the snaps. and he had 16 fantasy points. He was a tight end 3 in a game where he had only 49% of the snaps, and he had 23 fantasy points in that game. He had just 8 games last season where he played more than 40% of the snaps. Yet he had the same amount of finishes inside the top 9 as Philadelphia Eagles tight end Dallas Goedert. He was second on the team in receiving yards amongst all pass catchers, as well as tied for first in touchdowns. Again, all despite playing more than 58% of snaps in a game just once. He's primed, guys. He's primed for a year 2 breakout. He's set to be the clear second target and potentially even first target, given that fellow second-year man Treylon Burks is the only real competition for targets on this offense this season. Now, I'll close my monologue here with a little metric that we've all heard me talking about this year, and that's yards per route run. Yards per route run essentially takes into account the number of times a pass catcher runs a route and how many yards they gain on those routes, objectively providing a better indicator of production than other metrics like yards per reception or even yards per target. But perhaps what's most impressive about last year with Chig Okonkwo is the fact that his 2.61 yards per route run led all tight ends in the league and ranked second in the entire NFL behind only Tyreek Hill. I have said it many times, but Chig Okonkwo is one of my favorite players and probably is my favorite player right now in fantasy football. The potential for him to break out as one of the next generation of great tight ends is massive. He's being drafted as a tight end 13 in the 14th round of fantasy drafts, and I am all in. He's the easiest my guy I have ever chosen. Finished.
Finished. Fiend. Nothing
Fiend.
else to comment on. You have the excitement, you have the math, you've got the maths, baby, you've got the evidence. I'm buying in. Let's ride this this Chig train with you and see where it takes us, because I think what you were maybe saying about me with like Devonta Smith being a top 5 wide receiver this year, more outlandish things have been said. It's possible. I'm excited about the Slim Reaper. If you nail this, 4th and Troll, please tell your friends about 4th and Troll. Spread the word and say, this is the podcast that predicted Chig Okonkwo was going to be a breakout tight end. Who knows this? This guy does. 4th and Troll.
Huzzah.
I love it. I have nothing else to add.
That was so exciting for me. I was so excited writing these notes on this. I was like, I can't wait to just go in. Because I know I mentioned yards per route run. People were like, oh, maybe we don't. That sounds like an important metric. I don't know what that means. Just put the context on it and just look. It was the production with the lack of opportunity that was like, dude, he's playing less than 60% of snaps all year. And he's got, like, I know Dallas Goedert was hurt, but he had the same amount of top 9 tight end finishes. Like, it's like, what are we doing here? Like, it's just, I can't wait to see him, flourish, playing a big role. Throughout OTAs, you had some, interviews where he was saying, I know my role on this team and, to lead that tight end room and to be a big influence here. So I'm excited for it. And just, listen, whether it's Will Levis or whether it's Ryan Tannehill, whoever it is, I'm excited. I'm excited about Chig Okonkwo, man. I know. I'm too pumped. I mean, I'm going to go run a lap while you tell us your next my guy, Wes. Who's your next my guy? Hit us with it. Let me know.
The second and final my guy on my list is Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney. Last year, I predicted he might be a week 1 sleeper. I had this feeling he was going to carry over what he did the previous year with the Giants. That really, if you know the name Kadarius Toney, it's for 2 reasons. One, it's you watched his game against the Dallas Cowboys, and you've held on to that from the 2021 season, and you are praying that he actually is healthy enough to play. The second reason you know his name is because you watched the Super Bowl. And that is where I hang my hat on and just know that he has the potential. He played most of the regular season once he went to Kansas City. So those of us that have injury concerns about whether he's going to play for most of the season, he did pretty well once he got to Kansas City. Maybe because he was playing for a good team. You don't know. You don't know what's going on there. But he played. Point being, the top wideout for Patrick Mahomes is falling to the 10th round. And I know the kind of agility Kadarius Toney has. And you saw that punt return. You saw the touchdown. You saw what he did. This is the guy I want on my team, because if he is even a sliver, an inkling of who he can be with Mahomes, I would not be surprised if there's even this idea that Tyreek Hill is in the past as one of Mahomes' best wideout options, because Kadarius Toney could be something like that. I mean, it's all potential, but for all of, who's going to compete? Travis Kelce, yes, obviously, but the next wide receiver, who's going to compete? Sky Moore? Kansas City right now, they're already talking about Kadarius as the top wide receiver. He's leading the wide receiver room. You talk about Chig being the leader of the tight end room. Kadarius is wide receiver 1 for Patrick Mahomes. Yes, I want to take that. There's no risk. He's a 10th round talent in this draft. Fine. Give me Kadarius Toney. Maybe he blows up and he's going to be incredible for Kansas City. And we saw what Patrick Mahomes did with my aunt. Anybody was on that team. It was my aunt. My neighbor's dog got 6 touchdowns. Anything can happen in Kansas City. Kadarius Toney, my guy for this season.
Well, Wes, I did. You were speaking to the right crowd, because I did indeed watch that game against the Dallas Cowboys, and I had my mind blown. I was just, oh my goodness, this guy is incredible. And then I also watched the Super Bowl, and I watched that, and I went, my goodness, this guy is incredible. And so all signs point to, we haven't seen a wide receiver, I don't want to say be fantasy relevant since Tyreek Hill left, because Juju was for the first half of the season, I feel like Juju was almost like an every week, like flex kind of option there. And again, it's one of those things of like, how can you not be? You're the top wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes. So it's tough to quantify, no, that's not worth it, or no, that's not, that's not worth, drafting or whatever. It's not worth the spot on my team. I believe that Kadarius Toney is a special player, and I really, really hope that Andy Reid schemes up offensive playbook or plays that use him how we know he can be used, because he's so special. He moves like, now, I know it's either D'Angelo Hall or Dante Hall. I can't remember. You're both players. I can't remember who was the wide receiver. Dante was the wide receiver. Yep. He moves like Dante Hall. Literally, quite literally a human joystick. Like, he is all over the place. He can stop on a dime. We saw it in Florida. We saw it when he was with the Giants. We saw it with sliver.
Sliver.
A little slur. Last year we saw it last year. Obviously, it's just in little bits and pieces, but I am so hopeful that he ends up a legitimate number 2 option, because 1, obviously Travis Kelce is always going to be the number 1 option in the passing game. 2, I don't like guessing, because we had to do that so many times last year with the Chiefs. I don't like guessing. Right. I'm like, okay, is this going to be the Juju game? Is this going to be the Marquez Valdes-Scantling game? Is Justin Watson going to score a touchdown in this game? Is this going to be the Mecole Hardman game? I don't like guessing. I would love for there to be a set of plays that make Kadarius Toney the clear wide receiver 1. And I'm not too worried about. I know they drafted the receiver out of Ole Miss. I think Rashee Rice was out of Ole Miss. I don't remember exactly which college he went to, but I know they drafted a receiver. I don't know if I'm super worried about that. I just don't want to be guessing anymore. So I'm on the train with you, Wes, of make Kadarius Toney the next Tyreek Hill for this team, please, because I want to see it, and I want to be able to. And in leagues that I'm not with you in, I want to be able to which actually I don't think there are any. So I think every league that we have the potential to play in, we do. So I'm on board with it. So I like it. Kadarius Toney is a good one.
Yeah. He just has that opportunity to be a phenomenal player in the NFL. And I love that he's fallen to the 10th round, because then I have nothing else to risk. All right, close out our My Guy segment, Noah, with your final My Guy for the 2023 season.
3 words. 12th overall pick. 12th overall pick. I'm going into every draft this year planning to get Jahmyr Gibbs. He is my second My Guy. As we've discussed on the show, for some reason, Dan Campbell and his coaching staff absolutely hated DeAndre Swift. If they could have, they would have framed him for murder. They hated this guy so much. But you know what? I think this I'm going to be honest here. I was on a roll there, and then I lost my place in my notes, and I feel so silly, you guys. I'm so sorry, controllers. I was trying to go so smooth with that, and then I got so mixed up. As we discussed on the show, Dan Campbell and his coaching staff hated DeAndre Swift. And for that reason and others, it felt like we never got to see DeAndre Swift be unleashed in the NFL. We all thought, we watched his Georgia tape, and we went, this guy is going to be incredible. This guy's going to be the next prime Darren Sproles, the next prime Danny Woodhead, the next Christian McCaffrey. Like he had the skill set, pass catching, running, everything. We thought it was going to be incredible. Well, when your coaches hate you, that doesn't happen, I guess. So I feel strongly that we are about to see what we thought DeAndre Swift Unleashed would be with Jahmyr Gibbs here. When you take a guy 12th overall, you have a clear plan to use that guy. It's not like, we'll mix him in. No, when you take someone 12th overall, he is a part of your offense and a key part of your offense. You know he is going to be a part of your team. We can all agree last year was a tough year for DeAndre Swift. It was his first year finishing outside the top 18 at the running back position in fantasy football. He only had 5 games where he played more than 50% of the snaps. He missed 3 games with injury. And yet, all of that considered, he still saw 70 targets last year. 70 targets, you guys. Jahmyr Gibbs is about to step right into the DeAndre Swift role and could truly see what it could have been at its max potential. If DeAndre Swift was playing on only 5 games where he played more than 50% of snaps, what are we going to see with Gibbs here in this offense? And the guy they went and got, they want to use him. This is going to be something really, really special, it feels like. Last year at Alabama, let's talk about Gibbs in college for a second. Last year at Alabama, Jahmyr Gibbs was rushing for 6.1 yards per carry. That'd be good for first in the NFL amongst all running backs last year. In the receiving game, he was riding at 10.1 yards per catch. That would have led all running backs in the NFL last year. His skill set is something wildly special. And I cannot wait to see how the Lions use this guy. People want to talk about, it was college. It wasn't as hard of players. Alabama has an incredible O-line. They recruit everybody. They scout everybody. The Lions have a great O-line. Their running back room I didn't pull a stat. Their running back room led for accounted for almost 300 something fantasy points. Like their running back room combined last year or something insane like that. Obviously, we know Jamal Williams had the touchdowns and stuff, but Jahmyr Gibbs is being drafted in the 4th round of fantasy drafts right now. I'd be thrilled to take him as my top running back on my team this year. If I do that, that allows me to just load up on wide receivers, top tier guys that'll elevate me above the competition, the rest of the league. Like Jahmyr Gibbs in the 4th round is somebody that I am taking every single time, and probably somebody that I'd take a round earlier if I needed to. I'd get 2 top receivers and Jahmyr Gibbs and then get more wide receiver talent afterwards. It's just Jahmyr Gibbs is somebody really special, and I'm so excited to see what this guy does for the Lions. That's my spiel. There you go.
It's fantastic, especially because before the draft, you and I were skeptical on Jahmyr Gibbs. We didn't know of these teams that need a running back, and it makes sense what's happened now.
That is the funniest part of all of this.
Yeah. Which of those teams needed a running back that we thought would be the best fit for Jahmyr Gibbs? Maybe 2 of them. The Lions were never on our radar because they didn't need a running back, but they did draft him anyway. And of course, that changed everything. It was a possibility neither of us saw happen. Nobody predicted this happening when they watched the draft anyway. For me, Jahmyr Gibbs has a comp to Alvin Kamara. I think there is a real upside in the PPR value there's an opportunity for him to be top 5 in, or even top 3 in receiving touchdowns among all running backs. And I'm also very willing to reach for him as well. And I like that idea too of wide receiver, Jahmyr Gibbs, because I mean, Bijan Robinson, the only 2 running backs of the rookie class that I know is going to do great. It's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be worth whatever, whenever you draft him, whenever you want to take him, it's worth it.
Yeah, I fully agree. He is my 2 of 2, my guy right there. He is my second, my guy. Let's talk about some guys we're going to reach on here. Wes, hit me with your first one that you're willing to just take him around, maybe 2 rounds early, just because you need him on the team.
Yeah, I am very interested in, I'll say, I thought about what happened when we did our mock draft last episode. If you haven't watched it, go to our YouTube channel. When I started taking, I took Trevor Lawrence. He fell to me. You were taking Justin Herbert, who is the player I'm willing to reach on. Justin Herbert. Because what I started to look at when we did our mock draft, look back at the episode, saw what happened. You and I both know Justin Herbert is more likely than not going to be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy this year. We've continued to express how excited we are with the new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. Austin Eckler is back. If Eckler has a less than average season by his standards, that's still going to help Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And with Quentin Johnson, who is continuing to turn some heads and begin acquiring some high praise already, even behind Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert is poised for phenomenal success. Now, everyone knows this. So why am I reaching for a player? Why am I willing to reach for a player that everyone is already trying to get? Because if you don't get Justin Herbert in the 6th round, then you have to hope that these other teams that you're drafting with that already have a quarterback don't want Tua as their backup like I did. Or they want to get Aaron Rodgers, and maybe he is going to be great in New York. And maybe someone actually listened to 4th and Troll, and they're like, you know what? If Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are getting 1,000 yards each, Kirk Cousins is probably worth having on my team too. And then who are you left with? So consider who you take and when you take for a quarterback. And if I look at the 6th round, I have it pulled up here. This 6th round is not that hot. I'm not excited about a lot of these players. Go take a look at whatever league format you're playing. ESPN, NFL, Sleeper, it's CBS. If you're playing there, shout out to all the players that are drafting in CBS. We apologize.
Sorry, guys.
Basically, you look at the roster, you look at what's going on. That would be an opportunity to take a quarterback that's going to be top 5 without having to spend your 2nd or 3rd or 4th round pick to get Mahomes or Allen or Hurts or whoever else is up there. Justin Fields, some people are going to reach on as well. That's why I'm saying it's not a bad idea to go ahead and reach Lamar Jackson. Not a bad idea to go ahead and reach on Justin Herbert.
Yeah. I love it, and we talked about it last episode. I mentioned he's actually in my quarterback 3 in my rankings now. I went and looked, and it was a down year last year for touchdowns for Justin Herbert. He only had 25 touchdowns after following up his rookie year and 2nd year with 31 and 38 touchdowns. Add Kellen Moore here. We think about how fantasy friendly and reliable that Dak Prescott was over the maybe 2 or 3 years ago with Kellen Moore there, how awesome Dak was. You loved having Dak on your team. He had the 30-point potential every single week. Justin Herbert is that guy, and I have no issue reaching on him. I think he's going as a QB7 in sleeper right now, which is just like it's like what are we doing here? Like, yeah, go ahead and reach earlier, take him as the 5th quarterback off the board or something. Like, you obviously have to monitor, know your leagues. If you're in a league with people who are they're gonna go crazy on quarterback early, stuff like that, it is what it is. But I think he's going as QB7 because of the touchdown count. Like, people aren't looking at it last year, and maybe he wasn't that good. So I love Justin Herbert, and I think it's a great reach. Yep. I'm a big fan, and I'm gonna keep that in mind in my leagues with you for sure.
Of course, no problem. All right, let's start out with let me hear you share your first player you're gonna reach in a draft. Noah, please don't take him from me. I like him a lot, I'm sure.
Okay, I'll try not to. It's Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. Guys, let me break this down for you for a second. Excuse me. Brandon Ayuk was the wide receiver 15 last year. Wide receiver 15, you guys. He was a 1,000+ yard receiver with 8 touchdowns. There were only 11 other players in the league last year to have done that. To have at least 1,000 yards and at least 8 touchdowns. That's just enough in general to go, okay, I'll take him in the 3rd round. So, boom, there you go. 2, listen, he's the best pure receiver on the team. And call me crazy, but I've got my doubts that George Kittle catches 98% of the team's touchdowns again this upcoming season like he did last year. My goodness, that was unbelievable. Brandon Ayuk is currently going as a wide receiver 29 in the 7th or 8th round. That's a guy who can be your 3rd or 4th wide receiver, depending on how you're drafting. He's well worth grabbing a round or 2 early, in my opinion, and I plan on doing so. I really love Brandon Ayuk this year. I'll get into Deebo Samuel here in a little bit and a little later, but I wanted to save some of the details for later on. But Brandon Ayuk is a guy I am very comfortable reaching on, just because, guys, he is he's got this kind of almost like this weight that he's carrying around, because people remember in his rookie year and his second year, one of those, like, he was in like Kyle Shanahan's doghouse, and like for some reason, like, he wasn't getting the play or what he needed, or like he wasn't even on the field in like week 1 or something like that. He's out. He's broken out, and he guys, 1,000+ yard receiver with 8+ touchdowns. That is an incredible metric to have hit, and he nailed it. So he is a guy that I'm very comfortable having on my team, very comfortable reaching on, a guy that I hope to have on as many teams as possible. Brandon Ayuk, I am to the moon. Let's go.
Brandon Ayuk to the moon. I literally watched a video before recording this podcast on Brandon Ayuk.
I love it.
And how hype he is going to be. He is a phenomenal route runner, and the technicalities of his route running, where he is not just running the route smoothly, he is putting the defender 5 yards in the other direction, and he is getting open. Just sharing, shout out to A to Z Films. This is the channel I watched it on. I think they're phenomenal. The point of the video was saying the one thing he is going to need to improve on is his drop percentage, about a 5% drop, which is league average, but that will need to be improved upon, and adding more weight and strength to get that, because he is right there to be a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. Not just top 10 fantasy. He could very well be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL if this offseason goes the way it's supposed to. Honestly, Brandon Ayuk, it can be a my guy. He could be a reacher. Take Brandon Ayuk everywhere, except you are right. It did happen. He's a guy I want, and you're going to take him from me, Noah, and I'm going to be upset because you're going to be right, and he's going to be phenomenal. And just let me find him again. His ADP, do you remember it? It's like 9th round.
7th or 8th round. Yeah, he's like 7th or I think on Sleeper,
so
7th or 8th. It's like it's all around.
He's wide receiver. He's wide receiver 34 on ESPN. That's what I've got in front of me now. It's ESPN. Wide receiver 34. I mean, the like 90th overall pick. That is embarrassingly disrespectful, and he's going to make you all pay for how good he's going to be. Fantastic one, Noah.
Thanks,
Great
Wes.
job.
Tell me your second reach, your second person you're reaching on here.
What's your name, man? Alexander Madison. My name is Alexander Madison. I love him. We all do. We're all excited about him. Who isn't going to draft Madison? But you have to reach for him. He's not going to stay where he is for very long. And if he does, the smart people like you and I are going to need to take him early. He is, if you checked out our TikToks and stuff, you're going to know some of the stats that we posted on there. If you're not following on social media, we're glad you're watching this episode. Please do down below. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, check out the stats. Listen to this. As a starter, Alexander Madison averages 20 points a game. And that would have been RB3 last year. If you convert that into what Dalvin Cook's opportunities were just last season, if you convert Alexander Madison's stats, the metrics, yards per carries, touchdown rate, all of this, it's about 15 points per game. And that's almost a full point per touch, carry, and reception. If you do the math, that's still RB5 last year. Okay? Here's a thought. Let me play a game with you, Noah. Here's the over-under on Alexander Madison. Do you think he's going to get 12 touches a game? Over-under?
Over.
Over? Yeah, okay. So if any of you playing along at home said under, you're wrong. It's over. He's going to have at least 12 carries and catches combined, because if he does that, 12 opportunities in a single game, that's enough for RB10 last year, based on his statistics. He's going to be phenomenal. I have to reach on him. I have to. He's a 5th, 6th round player. I'll take him in the 4th. I don't care. He's going to be top 10. We've been over this last episode and the episode before. Alexander Madison, I'll take you whenever I need to. Thank you very much. How you doing? Keep it moving.
I feel like I got a lot. I feel like I received a lot there. Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like I don't know if I have anything to say. Like he is going to be phenomenal. And Kevin O'Connell's a smart coach, and he's going to use his good players, and it's going to be a pretty good offense, too. This offense is going to be kind of crazy. Like, it's between Jettas, between Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Alexander Madison. Like, it's just going to be something very special. And my goodness, I'm excited to see it. I can't wait. I'm excited. And yeah, he's going in the what did you say, the 6th round?
It's I have on ESPN he is going in the top of the 7th round.
That's absurd. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we can go ahead.
I do not predict he's going to stay there come August.
Right. Yeah, we'll need to get reports and things will shift a little bit, but even depending on where he ends up at, people are probably still going to undervalue him, and that's probably still definitely worth a reach there. So I'm in. I like it a lot. I'm a big fan there.
Yeah. I mean, we've been over it the last few episodes. We're so high on Madison. It's going to be unreal. Our rankings are going to change. Whenever we do our final rankings for running backs, stay tuned for that, because Noah and I am sure are going to have Madison very close to top 10, if not in our top 10. It's going to be phenomenal. Close out our reaches segment, Noah. Who's your final player that you're reaching for in this draft?
I'm excited to tell you about him, because I'm willing to admit that I was wrong, and I made the wrong move last year. I don't remember exactly who I got for him in a trade, but Jahan Dotson is the other person I'm willing to reach on this year in drafts. A wide receiver from the Washington Commanders. Shot out of a cannon last year, 2 touchdowns in week 1, 4 touchdowns in the first 4 weeks. After his 2 touchdowns in week 1, I was like, you know what? Value's never going to be higher, and I traded him away. I was like, yep, here we go. We're all good. Goodbye. And I don't remember exactly who I got for him. I believe they ended up being a contributor on my team. So it wasn't necessarily a lost trade because then he was hurt and stuff like that. But when he returned from injury, he was on pace with Terry McLaurin in targets and was outpacing Terry McLaurin in touchdowns over that span. I don't expect the Commanders to be leading in many games, you guys. It's the Marquise Brown argument that I gave already. I'm expecting them to pass a lot. They've got Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator. Probably going to be pretty creative. Going to draw up plays to get guys that make plays to football. Jahan Dotson's currently going as the wide receiver 39 in the 9th round. It's crazy value there, in my opinion, and I'm willing to take him a round or even 2 rounds earlier because with how I'm going to be drafting, probably doing my 0 RB strategy here, he'll be a bench wide receiver. He'll probably be my 4th, maybe my 5th or 6th wide receiver that I take. I just think he's a special player. And year 2 wide receivers, we see show some flashes and stuff like that. And so I'm excited about Jahan Dotson. I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. I think Sam Howell's going to try and win a job, and he's going to throw to who he feels comfortable with. And I think that could be Jahan Dotson. I expect him to be a really good contributor there this year, and to definitely outperform that ADP of wide receiver 39. Like I think he'll be. I think worst case he's like a top 30 wide receiver, like a 28, 29, something like that. But I think Jahan Dotson's a very special player, and I'm excited to see it. So I'm reaching out to Jahan Dotson if I need to.
If you had said Terry McLaurin, I would have pushed back on this because there is this concern in the statistics of what first-year starting quarterbacks do and how their wide receivers perform, and how, as you just mentioned, worst-case scenario, it's around wide receiver 30. That's pretty much where the top wideout finishes with a first-year starting quarterback, a rookie, maybe second year like Sam Howell, who's never started before. But Jahan Dotson going this late in the draft is worth the risk, because if it is who he can be, who we saw the first 2 weeks of the season, and also what we know that he did in college as well, he's phenomenal. Did he go to UNC? Is this correct? I got it on the fly. I'm going to figure this out.
Penn State.
With you. Penn State. Oh, Howell went to UNC.
Howell was
yes.
Howell was UNC.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, but the potential of Dotson is there. I like him. I think he has a good career ahead of him. It is worth taking, especially if you're. If I've already reached on Brandon Ayuk, because I'm afraid Noah's going to take him. Brandon Ayuk's in the same ADP range. Then Noah's going to reach for Jahan Dotson. I think we're going to be okay. So I like it.
We'll make it through. We'll make it through. Listen, those are a handful of players we like. Now let's talk about a few players and just crap on them real quick with guys that we don't like. Who are we just not picking out of? No, we're just avoiding these guys at all. Wes, take it away.
Yeah. The players that we're avoiding, obviously there's going to be known players, some borderline superstars, maybe some superstars. I'll start by saying that I am very likely just going to avoid Derrick Henry in my drafts. We've been over this many times about how the league is changing, even specifically in fantasy football, how the running back position is not as dominant as it used to be. And it's why a couple episodes ago we talked about Josh Jacobs not going to even likely be in the top 10 next year, even though he was the leading rusher. It's only happened twice over the last 10 years that the leading rusher is then in the top 10 the next season. It also has been decades since a running back has repeated the RB1 in their career ever. Derrick Henry's already done it. So if you want to read into that probability as well, there's that option as well. Most importantly, I don't want to spend a late first round, early second round pick on a running back right now. And I know you, Noah, are more heavy on the 0 running back strategy. I am willing to, like you said, with Jahmyr Gibbs, take him in the 3rd round. That's fine for me. It really depends on what happens. Maybe Bijan falls to me in the late first round. That's interesting. I like that. But I don't want to spend a second round pick on Derrick Henry, even if it's Derrick Henry, because you know who else I can get? Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You list any of those and you pair them with Jamar Chase, that is a championship team. I
Yeah.
already know it's a championship team. Jamar Chase and AJ Brown on the same fantasy football squad, that is bad news Bears. And just
Yeah.
to finish at the point, I don't know what the heck is happening in Tennessee. I'm scared
Yeah.
of that offense. I think Chig is the safest option because there's no risk because he's a 13th round player and Noah has given very good statistics on it. Derrick Henry's too expensive for me, and I can take Jahmyr Gibbs, I can take Alexander Madison, and I can take some of these other players we talked about, Miles Sanders, Khalil Herbert, some of these other starting players. Many more opportunities to have a good, solid running back than to spend that capital that early. That's why I'm just skipping Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm with you. It's more just, do I think he'll still get, like, he's one of those guys that's like, he's probably, barring injury, he's going to get 300 touches probably. But it's just the cost on that and what he might be able to do with that. Like, you can only play the Texans and the Jaguars so many times. So,
Yeah.
and for him, that's, 4 times a year. But, yeah, I think I'm with you here. I don't think I can't see myself drafting Derrick Henry in any of the leagues that I'm in. So I agree. I'm going to avoid Derrick Henry as well.
Yeah, it's just the draft capital. I would rather have elite wide receivers on my team right away because we know that's the direction the NFL is heading. So that's the first player I'm avoiding. Who is the first player that you are avoiding?
Deebo Samuel. And I've already said a lot of reasons about it, and I'm just going to double down, triple down, quadruple down. Listen, Christian McCaffrey is on that offense now. He was not there when Deebo Samuel was rushing for 8 touchdowns in the season as a wide receiver and then getting receiving work as well. It's just Deebo Samuel will not ever be the player that he was 2 years ago ever again. Like he will not put up that same kind of production. He will not be worth the ADP. He's going like the 4th round right now, guys. Like that is not. If I had to pick between if I was going to take Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk in the 4th round, I would take Brandon Ayuk. Like that's where I'm at on this. Like if I had to pick between one of the two 49ers receivers, it would be Brandon Ayuk. It's just Deebo is not going to return on the ADP where he's being drafted at, and it's just it doesn't make much sense to me why he still goes this high. I know he's very motivated, but there's a reason the season that he was the breakout and the big name in fantasy was when he was rushing for 8 touchdowns. That pretty self-explanatory there for you. So, just Deebo is a guy that I'm out on. I'm avoiding. I will not draft him in any single league that I'm in this year.
Yeah, I'm holding out hope for whatever reason. I mean, not for whatever reason, but I'm just holding out hope a little bit of he's so good, or he was at least. But it is too much of a risk in a redraft. I feel I'm starting to buy into it as well. I can't count on the consistency at the very least. I cannot consistently count on Deebo to have even 16 points.
Right.
That was kind of that was his expectation for a while. And with all these opportunities, let's just say Ayuk doesn't pan out the way that you and I think he is. George Kittle's still there. Christian McCaffrey's still there. And that alone is just a lot. That's already great. Yeah. If Ayuk is what you and I think he's going to be, then Deebo is, you got to split this pie into quadrants now. This this San Francisco baked pie is in a quadrant, and Deebo may not have the largest portion. I don't think he will. Right. McCaffrey's going to have a ton. I'm talking in circles. I'm just agreeing with you. I'm going through the stages of grief, just accepting maybe Deebo's not going to be it.
Yeah.
Oh well.
No, it's a tough one to accept, but he was special for that season, and I think we're kind of past it now. Hit us with your last player you're gonna avoid here, and we'll close it out.
It's Aaron Jones. And that's obvious. I'm sure we all have some trepidation, some weariness, some leeriness about anybody that's in green and gold, because you could just say anyone with a G on the side of their helmet is not going to be on my team. But I'm going to highlight, really low light, the last Aaron standing in Green Bay. And just remind all the fourth and trollers here right now, okay? Don't panic, okay? Here's the scenario. 4th round, okay? Listen to generally who's in the 4th round right now. Joe Mixon, Ramondre Stevenson, Devonta Smith, my man, Mark Andrews, Najee Harris, then Aaron Jones, and then after him, Jahmyr Gibbs. That's generally what the 4th round looks like, okay? What's the common theme there? A whole lot of running backs right then.
Yeah.
And that means people are going to start taking the last of these potentially great running backs, right? So you can see what happens. Someone's going to be like, screw it, Joe Mixon's going to be fine. No legal troubles. I'm taking him. Someone's going to be like, I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about Ramondre Stevenson in New England, and I saw what he did last year, and now Damien Harris is gone. I'm taking him. Now who's left? Okay? Najee Harris. Someone's been listening to 4th and Troll, and they know that the offensive line has been reestablished, and they're going to have a good season. So Najee Harris is gone. Who's left? Aaron Jones. Don't panic and take Aaron Jones because you're worried that you don't have a running back. You're going to be fine. Just remind yourself that the Packers offense is going to be abysmal. It's okay. Wait. Just wait. Alexander Madison's around the corner. Miles Sanders is down the line. Just wait. Another Hamilton reference. Just you wait. That's just, don't panic. Don't draft Aaron Jones when you see the running backs flying off the board. Don't panic. Avoid him. If you want, take Mark Andrews. See if Lamar and Mark aren't besties again. And maybe take TJ Hawkinson, who's in that 4th round as well. We just talked about how great the Minnesota offense is going to be. Just don't panic. Avoid Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I am one, staying away from pretty much anybody in green and gold, but 2, definitely Aaron Jones, because a little stat that I want to talk about here is just, Wes, do you think Aaron Jones has rushed for more or less than 8 touchdowns over the last 2 years?
I would say more than 8 touchdowns in the last 2 years combined.
Right, more than 8 rushing touchdowns in the last 2 years combined. Right, except for it's not. He's rushed for 6 touchdowns over the last 2 years. That's it. Three rushing touchdowns a year. Now, you may say, well, his value is the PPR. He gets work in the receiving game. Will he with Jordan Love? We don't know. That's the unknown for me, and that is why for me as well, I'm avoiding Aaron Jones. He's not a contributor in the rushing game. He was so good running the football early in his career. 2018, 8 touchdowns. 2019, 16 rushing touchdowns in 2019. 2020, 9 rushing touchdowns. And then 2021, 4 rushing touchdowns. 2022, 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, it's just, his value was in PPR over the last 2 years, and that's what still made him valuable. We just don't know what that looks like without Aaron Rodgers there. So I am as well avoiding Aaron Jones, and it's sad advice you give, Wes Selby. That's a good piece of advice you give there.
Thank you. It's just to remind the trollers, do not panic when that moment happens, because you may think, oh, I need a running back. That's right. Oh my gosh, I need a running back. I got so focused on the great wide receivers. Aaron Jones might be pretty good. No, he won't. No, he won't.
Yeah, no.
Don't panic. Don't panic. Noah, close out our show, giving the final player you are avoiding in drafts this season.
Yeah, it's tight end for the Minnesota Vikings, TJ Hawkinson, and I just think he's going too early. He's going as the third tight end off the board, and if you guys didn't watch the draft, they added Jordan Addison. Alexander Mattison has fresh legs in the backfield. Obviously, this passing game is going to run through Justin Jefferson, but Adam Thielen, who was in what is now Jordan Addison's role, but last year ran the fourth most routes among wide receivers. Like it's not necessarily a weighted stat for why Hawkinson finished so well last year, but he did have like 2 40-plus point weeks that were like really helping him out as far as that goes. He had like 2 3 touchdown weeks, one for the Lions and one for the Vikings. Like it was just so. While the spike weeks can happen, I just think tight end 3 is a little too early for TJ Hawkinson, and he's one of those players that's like, this is a great offense. It's kind of like the 49ers where it's like we don't really know exactly where the football is going to go. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of good players. Going to have to see what happens here. But TJ Hawkinson is the third tight end off the board is just a little too high for me. And so I'm going to be out on TJ Hawkinson this year.
You make a good point that his ADP right now is a little high because I actually just mentioned that he's in the 4th round, and that does feel early, even if Hawkinson is good, which I think he will be good. I don't think you disagree he'll be good as well.
Right.
It's just the current ADP value where if he fell to maybe late 5th, early 6th, I'm smelling what you're stepping in. I understand. Yeah, a tight end in the 4th round, not named Travis Kelce. Okay. All right.
A little tough.
Maybe
tough to fully commit.
Yeah, rearrange your pecking order for the tight ends, figure out your rankings, and figure out maybe who do you want to go take later. All right.
Good stuff.
That's my final point. All right.
All right. Yeah, I know. Listen, that's going to do it for today's episode. Let us know in the comments what you think. Is it worth reaching for a guy like, I don't know, I already forget who I said I'm reaching for? Brandon Ayuk or Jahan Dotson or Wes? Or are we reaching for Alexander Mattison? Or what are we thinking here? You know, whatever, guys. What do you? That is the most animated you've ever been on this podcast before. You're just all over the place. Are you trying to avoid Deebo Samuel, Derrick Henry? Let us know in the comments below. Make Tutty the Troll smile by hitting the subscribe button, ringing the bell, leaving a like and a comment. Be sure to check us out on our social medias, which are on the screen here, as you can see. Join us next Tuesday. I'm Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.